On October 8, 2016, Hurricane Matthew made landfall in South Carolina, leaving devastating effects on infrastructure, businesses, and homes across the state. Matthew was the first Category 5 hurricane to make landfall in almost a decade, and it was most notably associated with the humanitarian crisis left in its wake in the country of Haiti. By the time the hurricane reached the South Carolina coast, it had reduced in power dramatically. Despite this, it caused massive destruction and disruption to life along the coast of the state, leaving many without power and homes destroyed or damaged. The hurricane's high winds and torrential rains led to flooding, as well as toppled trees onto power lines, leaving tens of thousands without power for days, and the storm surge battered the coast. That storm surge inundated low-lying coastal areas with up to 10 feet of water in places like Charleston Harbor. This caused severe flooding across much of the region, including downtown Charleston, where streets were filled with several feet of water for days after the hurricane passed through, causing significant economic losses. Many of the outer islands were hit the hardest, though in the following months they were brought back to a level of normalcy. One exception, though, is the clearly visible remains of the houses of Harbor Island. Harbor Island had, and really still has, a unique situation that led to many houses being abandoned, yet also unable to be torn down. They still stand along the shore, rotting, and patiently waiting to fall into the sea. This is a result of complications with insurance companies, as well as local, county, state, and federal regulations, all of which make it borderline impossible for the houses to be safely torn down and removed. In the aftermath of the storm, the homeowners reached out to their insurance companies, obviously the first thing to do. Some were paid as expected, in which they could repair the damages or write it off as a loss and move on. Others, though, weren't so fortunate. Due to the stipulations in their insurance clauses, many weren't paid, as the damage wasn't covered for one reason or another. So the Residents and Homeowners Association of Harbor Island began looking elsewhere for funds to either repair or demolish their residential homes. First stop was FEMA, in order to receive federal assistance. The caveats with federal aid is that there are requirements to exhaust private insurance first, and on top of that, federal aid usually only goes to public assistance and infrastructure. This resulted in a dead end. The group then moved on to the state level, reaching out to the South Carolina Hazard Mitigation Division. This division required an immense amount of information by certain deadlines in order to hear their case, with several hoops they needed to jump through, including forming a non-profit organization, as well as being a municipality, which the community was not. In order to facilitate this, the Homeowners Association turned to Beaufort County to represent them. Beaufort County agreed to do so under the conditions that their financial support of the removal of these homes would lead to direct benefits to the county taxpayers. Being stewards of the tax dollars, they demanded a public park with bathrooms and beach access to be made available to the general public within the gated community on Harbor Island. This immediately became a problem because the covenants of the Homeowners Association of Harbor Island didn't allow land to be used for anything but residential construction. Without an amendment made to every resident's covenants, this would not be legally possible. The association has declined amending said covenants. One would assume that they are more comfortable with a couple of decaying beach homes than a public park in their neighborhood. No other solution is in sight, as the county has no money to buy more property or pursue eminent domain. For now, Harbor Island residents remain in limbo, waiting for the county and Harbor Island Association to come up with a plan that allows public access without infringing upon Harbor Island's covenants, which is an unlikely scenario. In total, Hurricane Matthew left behind $1 billion worth of damages throughout South Carolina, making it one of the costliest disasters in recent history for the state. Thousands were forced out of their homes due to destruction from wind and water damage, while tens of thousands more lost power for extended periods during cleanup operations following the hurricane's passing. The effects are still being felt here today on Harbor Island 7 years later, and probably will continue for the foreseeable future. Thanks for watching. Thanks to my Patreon subscribers for helping me get here. As always, until next time, get lost.